Hey everybody, it's Party Elite here with another episode of Total Breakdown. This time we've got a fantastic competitive battle from the King's Cup tournament in which Xiphos leads his High Elves against the Lizardmen of Nefris. We begin, of course, with talk of composition and deployment, and as you can see, some pretty interesting things happening on the field today. The High Elves especially very widely spread apart, and that's just to make sure that a unit or two of dinosaurs from the Lizardmen aren't going to disrupt everything. Now, in the center in charge, we have Teclis alongside a noble tucked into these trees atop their horses, the both of them, just to make sure they stay hidden and their abilities are hidden as well. The front line consists of these spearmen spread again very wide and far, with 2 units of Lothern Seaguard right behind them over here and another unit over here, alongside these Eagle Claw bolt throwers here and here, able to provide range support from varying distances as the enemy closes the gaps. The White Lions of Thrace back here able to tuck in and intercept any incoming enemy units as well, while the Dragon Princes back here and here are able to push forward for flanking maneuvers or of course push down the center as well if necessary. On the other side of the field, the Lizardmen have a far more compact build, of course, and still some interesting decisions being made over here as well. In charge, we have a Saurus Oldblood atop a Carnosaur, and a Skink Chief in the air, alongside a Skink Priest of Heavens on foot. The front line consists of these 5 units of Saurus Warriors with shields, and that's a good idea. You want to make sure they've got shields to keep them protected from the inevitable range support, while back here, 2 units of Skink Cohort with Javelins on this side, and another 2 on this side. In between them, some Saurus Spears with shields as well. Then, 2 units of Bastiladon with Solar Engine are an interesting pair of units to round off the army. They're going to be capable in melee, of course, anti-infantry armor piercing, and naturally they have solar engines that can cause a lot of hurt. And on the topic of hurt, here comes some right now from the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower into the Saurus Oldblood, some range fire from the artillery. Of course, the High Elves do not have to push forward, so they're taking some initial shots into Lizardman leadership here, causing a touch of damage, and ultimately deciding to change their target, focusing instead on that Bastiladon with Solar Engine over here. Unfortunate for this poor little beast over here, taking a fair bit of damage, a lot of focus fire there, and that's a good call, trying to shut down that ranged artillery support because it can do a lot of morale damage. So again, just focusing in as the Lizardmen try to close the gap over here, and of course, again, the High Elves do not have to move. They can stay put as they have the ranged advantage. And take a look at that. That Bastiladon has taken so much hurt, already at about a quarter health, and it's barely within range to open fire. The Lothern Seaguard as well now pushing forward, trying to get some early shots in, while back here you can see the Bastiladon has popped cold-blooded just to keep itself healthy, and now's the best time to do it if there's any time to do it. The speed reduction, the melee stat reduction doesn't really matter right now, trying to keep that Bastiladon alive, again, while the arrows fly through the air and try to cause some damage to both left and right flanks. At the same time, you can see the Saurus Oldblood pushing forward, and only now do Teclis as well as the Noble get spotted, while the Bastiladon with Solar Engine fires back here into these White Lions of Thrace, and the other Bastiladon with Solar Engine fires back into this unit of White Lions of Thrace as well. Good call there. These guys are threatening in melee, so just trying to shut them down, while the Lothern Seaguard over here firing upon the Skink Priest of Heavens, and these 2 units of Lothern Seaguard opening shots at the Saurus Oldblood. Great call. Try to take down that enemy leadership. And unfortunately, the Saurus Oldblood is not able to react to Teclis as he pushes in and does this. Look at that last-minute reaction there, but just a little too slow there, because of course in comes the net of a Mintok, and that Saurus Oldblood is in a terrible position right now as all of that range fire is able to come through. Now, at the same time, we've got the Skink Chief pushing off to the side over here, trying to provide some support, firing into the Noble, trying to get some hurt in there. A lot of that range fire into the Saurus Oldblood, causing so much damage. And take a look at that. The Lothern Seaguard, at the very last minute, ordered back. They stayed put for as long as possible. The Spearmen are being sent in to intercept, and at the very last moment here, the Lothern Seaguard got that last volley in, and now they turn around and pull back and dodge these Saurus Warriors with shields. Wonderfully done. At the same time, we've got these Dragon Princes pushing up from the side there, charging into the Saurus Oldblood, while the Noble over here as well pushing in against the Saurus Oldblood. Again, anti-large, so very capable, while to the right over here we have the Dragon Princes pushing into the front line to try and provide some support in that front line on the right. Over here you can see the Noble once again pushing into the Saurus Oldblood. So much damage already done there. That charge does a lot of hurt as well. Anti-large and armor piercing. Very wonderfully done, while at the distance over here, this Bastiladon with Solar Engine has basically already been taken care of. Very close to giving up. It's wavering right now. Still trying to pop some shots now into the Lothern Seaguard and take care of High Elf range support. In the center, Teclis activates the Potion of Chiroi for the damage resistance as the Skink Chief is able to fire away and cause some damage to High Elf leadership as well. Again, great call over there, but the Lothern Seaguard back here are opening shots off at the Skink Chief as well, just trying to get him to fall or at least give up, pull back into some safety. At the same time, you'll notice on the right over here, the High Elves are not having the best of times. In the center over here as well, these White Lions of Thrace are not enjoying their time against these Saurus Warriors with shields. So the right flank is very much in favor of the Lizardmen, while the left flank has the Saurus Oldblood basically falling apart under all of that fire. The Dragon Princes here as well now push through into these Skink with Javelin there, wonderfully done, and now push in for a rear charge into these Saurus Warriors. Again, wonderfully done over here, a wonderful charge. There's so much morale damage, so much physical damage, just getting those guys to give up, but in comes that shot from the Bastiladon with Solar Engine, causing a fair bit of damage to those White Lions of Shray. So great work there from the High Elves, but unfortunately suffering a bit of damage as well, while the Dragon Princes over here pull back from that right flank and look for another opportunity to dive in, while these Dragon Princes again turn around and push into the Skink with Javelin once more. Off in the distance, this Bastiladon with Solar Engine has given up on the fight. Broken routing is leaving, while the Saurus Warriors with spears here still back there, not getting involved enough. They need to be pushed forward. You can see they're charging down the field right now, but unfortunately I think they stayed back there for far too long, worried that some cavalry might be coming in from the trees perhaps, or maybe they were just forgotten. At the same time, up front over here, you can see the Bastiladon firing away at the Lothern Sea Guard, still trying to get some damage done, and the Saurus Old Blood as well in a terrible spot here. The Noble is doing a lot of work, absolutely ruining that Saurus Old Blood's day, while in the center over here you can see the Dragon Princes once again just pushing off, splitting apart, and chasing after various range units, just trying to shut down that range support. Wonderfully done, while over here to the left we get the Curse of the Midnight Wind, reducing armor and melee attack of these two units, making sure that they don't have as good a time against these Saurus Warriors. So great call over there, while the Dragon Prince over here chasing after the Saurus Old Blood, who's using Cold-Blooded to try and stay alive, but unfortunately that's far too little, far too late. Very low on health right now, very close to giving up on the fight, while all the way over here on the right, as we get this glorious rear charge from the Dragon Princes into the Skink cohort with Javelins over there, you can see this is very much the Lizardmen's game over here. They're having a wonderful time, absolutely devastating that front line of the White Lions of Shray and the Spearmen. They've all given up. They're falling back. We've got this unit barely holding on over here. These White Lions of Shray very close to falling apart as well, but they did get some support against the Saurus Warriors earlier from the Dragon Princes, so they're just able to hang in there. But over here, we've got these Saurus Warriors pushing into the Lothern Sea Guard, making sure they're not able to fire away. A better target may have actually been the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower over here, because the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower is still popping shots off and still getting some damage done to the Saurus Old Blood, and you can see that Saurus Old Blood is routing now, completely given up on the fight, falling back, while we do have the Saurus Warriors with shields over here intercepting to try and provide some support and try and keep these Spearmen back, while over here the Noble has pushed off to the side with Foe Seeker, staying safe, keeping a distance there, and the Dragon Princes as well now, given up on the chase against the Saurus Old Blood, pulled back right into these Skink cohort with Javelins once more. Wonderfully done, while these guys push in against these Skink cohort with Javelin. Again, wonderful sandwich maneuver there, wonderful shutdown of range support, absolutely essential, while over here the Lothern Sea Guard continue to fire away, happy to fire away at the Bastiladon with Solar Engine alongside that Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower, causing a lot of hurt to this other Bastiladon with Solar Engine, while the first one there you can see has recovered, is willing to fight once more. So it's unfortunate that it wasn't completely taken care of, because of course it can turn around and now open fire and resume providing support. In the center here you can see these White Lions of Trace have basically been taken care of. They're largely useless, while the Dragon Princes here were able to provide support to this clump over here and take care of the Saurus Warriors with shields. Unfortunately, they did put Teclis in a precarious situation, still under fire from that Skink Chief. Teclis is very low on health. He needs to be pulled back, pulled away into some safety, while you can see the Saurus Old Blood decides to push in, pops Foe Seeker, wants to charge into something, but again, a very foolish maneuver there, as all of this range support is there. The Noble is there as well, anti-large as he is. In comes some support in the form of Stand Your Ground. We've got the Horn of Kygor going off as well, just trying to provide some assistance, but that may have been the last hurrah for the Saurus Old Blood. You can see all of that range support coming in, and the Noble uses the Armor of the Stars wonderfully here, pushes off to the side, making sure he's unspottable, can't be seen, can't be stopped, looking for an opportunity to dive in as the Saurus Old Blood just charges into the Lothern Sea Guard, but unfortunately they are anti-large, of course, so this is most certainly a last hurrah, while the Dragon Princes here you can see giving chase to these various units at the back, and this unit of Dragon Princes again just clean up duty over here wherever possible, while you can see the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower has been shut down, as have the Spearmen over here, so that right flank has been completely devastated. The High Elves are falling apart on the right, while to the left you can see that Saurus Old Blood once more on the route here, giving up, trying to leave the field. The Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower continues to fire away just to drop that last 468 points of health, but you can see over here we've got a wonderful wind blast coming in from that Skink Priest of Heavens, doing a lot of damage, dropping the Lothern Sea Guard here to about half health, dropping both to about half health or so, and significantly reducing the morale of the Lothern Sea Guard as well. So great job there, great use of magic, and at the same time Teclis is falling back. He's extremely low on health, and that Skink Chief gives chase, trying to open some shots here and drop Teclis, while the Noble here giving chase to that Saurus Old Blood, trying to make sure that he does not return to the field. So interesting situation here. Both leaders are, well, they're trying to get out of here, while all the way back there the Dragon Princes you just saw took out the Bastiladon with Solar Engine. Wonderfully done, and we've got a couple of shatters here and a lot of routes going down, but you'll see the balance of power is in favor of the Lizardmen, they're still coming out on top, while off to the side over here, that Saurus Oldblood is very close to the edge of the field. The Noble just making sure that he doesn't return from that edge, doesn't return from his current route. And over here as well, Teclis returns and stops running away, and unfortunately as a result of that, the Skink Chief is able to just fire away still and gets a couple of more shots in there, gets another rout from Teclis as all of the Lothern Sea Guard continue firing away, trying to drop that Skink Chief, trying to scare him away, but the Skink Chief is persistent, continues to give chase over here, pops another shot. Teclis is down to 52 hit points here, so close to dying, and that would be absolutely devastating for the High Elves, of course. And you can see that Skink Chief, again, persistent as ever. There's the lethal shot. Down goes Teclis, but the High Elves are now trying to hold on for glory here. You can see the Spearmen here beating away at the Skink cohort with javelins. We've got these Dragon Princes moving around on cleanup duty. We've got these Dragon Princes coming back, having defeated that Bastillodon with Solar Engine, pushing into these spears over here, just trying to scare them off. And again, the Bastillodon over here is an immense threat, as is the Skink Chief that was firing away at the Noble just moments ago. And then we also have the Skink Priest of Heavens, of course, but you can see these spears are closing the gap. The Lothern Sea Guard opening shots off, trying to get damage wherever possible, primarily into the Skink Chief over here, trying to scare him off with that Bastillodon, firing away at the Dragon Princes. Great shot over there, doing a fair bit of damage to both morale and health and of course attributes, but in comes a charge from behind those spears, tossing some of these Saurus warriors around, while the Skink Chief again looking for an opportunity to dive in. And all the way back here, the Lothern Sea Guard have returned to the fray, trying to provide some support, firing into these Saurus warriors with shields that the Dragon Princes are currently engaged with as well. These White Lines of Trace are pushing in, trying to intercept these guys, so the Dragon Princes are free to move away. And off to the side here, again, we have a unit returning to the fray, but the Noble has left. So all leadership encouragement has left the field now for the High Elves. Well, part of it's died, part of it's left, but the Dragon Princes persist. They just need to get a couple more charges in. You can see they're looking for an opportunity to dive in, maybe isolate the Skink Chief here in the air, just so he's not able to, you know, stay up in the air and still win the fight. The Dragon Prince is coming from both sides. Sandwich the Bastillodon with Solar Engine. Great surround there, but unfortunately terror is starting to kick in before that Bastillodon gives up. So there is the rout, but you can see the Lothern Sea Guard over here have been terrified, so they are leaving the field, while over here we've got the White Lines of Trace alongside the Spearmen trying to beat on these Saurus warriors with shields, and we've got these High Elf Spearmen chasing after the Skink cohort with javelin as well as the Saurus spears just to keep them at bay. Meanwhile, over here the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower has been armed once more, wonderfully done, and now switching to their anti-infantry ammo, firing away into the Saurus warriors over here just to get a little bit of damage in, again, just to break these individual units as they are being hit by the Dragon Princes as well with rear charges, so that compounded morale damage can really finish a unit off here and there. Another wonderful breath goes off over there. You can see there isn't too much to hit though, unfortunately, in such a weakened unit, so it doesn't do as much as that first one did earlier. And the Skink Chief as well, just looking for an opportunity to get involved somewhere, to dive into some of these units and scare them off the field. Of course, able to incite fear, so just looking for an opportunity where it can dive in. The Skink Chief really should have been sent in my opinion, against the Lothern Sea Guard here, or against the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower here in melee, again, just to shut that support down, but instead opting to fire into the Dragon Princes over here, I believe, just to get some hurt wherever possible, but it's just not doing enough. There are some much better options for that Skink Chief. Meanwhile, the Lothern Sea Guard here out of ammo, but still able to fight. They're going to push into the Skink Priest of Heavens here. Unfortunately, Skink Priest is on foot, so the anti-large isn't going to help. Meanwhile, over here, you can see the Skink Chief has given up under all of that ranged fire, ultimately does not want to stick around and fight off from the distance as well. You can see all of these routes, some of them slowly turning into rallies. We've got the Skink cohort willing to fight once more, the Saurus warriors over here as well, but they are far too far away to get involved and provide some serious assistance. The Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower once again now firing away at that Skink Chief, making sure he doesn't return. Some excellent shots, some great damage being done, and even when shots are missed, of course, there is the morale damage that sticks around from it. Dragon Princes once again turning around, trying to provide some support against the Skink Priest of Heavens here. Wonderful surround, will do a lot of morale damage, of course. Take a look at that. Health drops, morale drops, and the Skink Priest of Heavens very close to giving up on the fight as well, while off in the distance, these spears unfortunately are made to give up against the Skink cohort with javelin. So funny to see, but even at the death here, it's very close either way, despite what the balance of power might say. Ultimately, though, these routes are spreading. The Bastillodon with Solar Engine being cornered by these Spearmen ultimately is going to have to give up. You can see morale and health dropping across the board. The Lizardmen are giving up. The High Elves are victorious. I thought this was a very interesting battle, right from composition to the end. The double Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers to help shut down enemy large units, the double Bastillodon with Solar Engine to try and cause a great deal of hurt from a distance, and a very well used Skink Chief and Skink Priest from the Lizardmen all worked fantastically. But it was the two Dragon Princes with over 450 kills between them that were the most magnificently managed piece that did the most in this battle. The Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers as well, even though they did minimal damage and minimal kills, did a lot of work, solid micromanagement there as well, and solid work applying constant pressure, giving the High Elves the win, even when their leader died. Now, as always, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more Total War content and keep sending in those battle replays. There's a link down below to the Discord as well as a submissions link. Either works, of course. I think this is one of the best ways to learn, and it's always nice to highlight great battles from the community. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield.